and welcome to Modern Vibes with Dr. Jerry the First, episode 149. This Friday, the 9th day of February 2018. My names are Dr. Jerry the First Oguzie. In continuation of our discussion on the habits to drop like a piece of hot charcoal, if you want to choose yourself first this 2018, today we are discussing stop people pleasing. You feel the pressure throb in your veins. A lump rises in your throat as your colleagues watch you closely. They're expecting you to comply, but every fiber of your being wants to scream, "No, I can't." But as if possessed, you automatically smile sweetly and say, "Yes, I'll do it. Thanks for asking." What the heck is going on here? Why can't you just say no and walk away? This is what people pleasing is. The unbecoming habit of kowtowing to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes your way, without a single thought for yourself. Many persons in this world of today who are people pleasers have allowed people pleasing to run havoc in their lives. It has crushed their spirits repeatedly. It has robbed them of peace of mind, personal empowerment, and the courage to follow their goals and dreams. It has hit them while they were down and dragged them through the dirt. It might have also contributed to chronic issues in their lives, such as anxiety disorders, depression, addiction, or codependency. So, what exactly is people pleasing and how can we heal the root cause of it? For those who are people pleasers, a dig into the inner recesses of their mind shows that people pleasing wasn't really their problem. Their desire to make others happy was merely a symptom of a deeper issue. For many, the eagerness to please stems from self-worth issues. They hope that saying yes to everything asked of them will help them feel accepted and liked. Other people pleasers have a history of maltreatment, and somewhere along the way, they decided that their best hope for better treatment was to try to please the people who mistreated them. Over time, for them, people pleasing became a way of life. Many people pleasers confuse pleasing people with kindness. When discussing their reluctance to turn down someone's request for a favor, they say things like, "I don't want to be selfish," or "I just want to be a good person." Consequently, they allow others to take advantage of them. People pleasing can be a serious problem and is a hard habit to break. At some point or another, we have all struggled with people pleasing. After all, as social creatures, we are prone to peer pressure and the desire to fit in. But there's a whole big difference between the desire for acceptance and people pleasing. People pleasing is not just a once in a while foible, it's a daily grind. Here are 10 signs that you may be trying too hard to please everyone. You pretend to agree with everyone. Listening politely to other people's opinions, even when you disagree, is a good social skill. But pretending to agree just because you want to be liked can cause you to engage in behavior that goes against your values. 2, you feel responsible for how other people feel. It's healthy to recognize how your behavior influences others. But thinking you have the power to make someone happy is a problem. It's up to each individual to be in charge of their own emotions. 3, you apologize often. Whether you excessively blame yourself or you fear other people are always blaming you, frequent apologies can be a sign of a bigger problem. You don't have to be sorry for being you. 4, you feel burdened by the things you have to do. You are in charge of how you spend your time. But if you're a people pleaser, there's a good chance your schedule is filled with activities that you think other people want you to do. 5, you can't say no. Whether you say yes and then actually follow through, or you later fake an illness to get out of your commitments, you'll never reach your goals if you can't speak up for yourself. 6, you feel uncomfortable if someone is angry at you. Just because someone is smart doesn't necessarily mean you did anything wrong. But if you can't stand the thought of someone being displeased with you, you'll be more likely to compromise your values. 7, you act like the people around you. It's normal for other people to bring out different sides of your personality, but people pleasers often sabotage their goals. Studies have shown that people pleasers engage in self-destructive behavior if they think it will help others feel more comfortable in social situations. For example, people pleasers eat more when they think it will make other people happy. 8, you need praise to feel good. While praise and kind words can make anyone feel good, people pleasers depend on validation. If your self-worth rests entirely on what others think about you, you'll only feel good when others shower you with compliments. 9, you go to great lengths to avoid conflict. It's one thing not to want to start conflict, but avoiding conflict at all costs means that you struggle to stand up for the things and the people you really believe in. 10, you don't admit when your feelings are hurt. You can't form authentic relationships with people unless you're willing to speak up sometimes and say that your feelings are hurt. Denying that you're angry, sad, embarrassed, or disappointed, even when you're emotionally wounded, keeps a relationship superficial. So, in simple and plain language, here are the 16 habits of people-pleasing personality types. You struggle to say no. You find it hard to be assertive and voice your opinions. You're hyper-vigilant about perceived rejection from others. You're always on the lookout. You are an emotophobe. You fear negative emotions. You are excessively altruistic or philanthropic. You often suffer at the expense of doing a favor for others. You have a weak sense of self and poor interpersonal boundaries. You become emotionally dependent or codependent when in relationships or friendships. You are addicted to approval from others. You have a neurotic desire to be liked no matter what. You feel shattered for days or weeks when someone criticizes you. You have low self-worth. You act based on what other people think of you. You always put yourself in others' shoes, but you rarely show compassion towards yourself. You blindly believe in other people's goodness, even if they are clearly abusive towards you. You fear losing control of yourself because you repress so much. It's also said that people pleasing can form a bridge to other conditions such as borderline personality disorder and social anxiety disorder. This is the reason why being too nice can be dangerous. Now, there's nothing wrong with being nice, but having the neurotic desire to be nice is dangerous for a number of reasons. And they include 1, you suppress a lot of emotion. Inevitably, wanting to be loved and needed by others all the time results in suppressing tons of uncomfortable emotions. I'm talking about rage, hatred, bitterness, annoyance, grief, and stress. Anything that is contrary to the altruistic image you crave to portray. You might not be conscious of repressing these types of emotions, but be rest assured it comes with the job description. You can't give yourself entirely to other people, deny yourself, and expect to feel fine and dandy in the long run. Suppression of emotions eventually results in physical or psychological breakdowns. Many chronic mental and physical illnesses are fueled by the neurotic desire to please others. 2. Extreme pleasure to keep up appearances. One of the worst things about constantly being nice is the extreme pressure you feel to constantly maintain your self-image. It feels good consistently being on people's good sides. It feels good to avoid negative feelings and get the spotlight for being a saint. But this addiction comes at a price, and that is chronic stress. Often, that stress is imperceptible, but it's always there, always demanding that you keep your mask strapped on, even though it might be suffocating you. 3. People use you. When you're a people pleaser, you open yourself up to abuse. Narcissists, energy vampires, bullies, and other types of wounded people are drawn to you like fresh meat. Having weak boundaries, low self-esteem, and the insatiable desire to please makes you the perfect use and abuse target. Unconsciously, you like feeling needed and wanted, so you unwittingly continue the toxic cycle. It's just like what the famous Eurythmics song, Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, says. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused by you, and so on. Number 4, you have the intense need to be in control. At first, people pleasing might come across as a selfless act, but people pleasing is actually a selfish act because you are trying to control someone else's reaction towards you by behaving in a certain way. In fact, people pleasing is more about the desire to be in control than it is to please other people. Wanting to be liked by others is just a symptom of the desire to be in control because deep down you feel powerless or worthless. This is why people pleasing is so exhausting. It goes against the flow of life and takes so much effort to maintain. 5, no one really knows the true you. Keeping so much locked inside of you for fear of being disapproved of others makes you extremely guarded. In fact, if you're a people pleaser, you might fear, for instance, getting drunk because all of the secret thoughts and opinions you have might come to the surface. In other words, you'll no longer be in control of yourself. When you're a people pleaser, no one really knows the true and authentic you. They only know the facade that you present them with. Unfortunately, this desire to be loved and approved often backfires, making you feel more lonely and disconnected as time goes on. Eventually, you wind up feeling invisible and unseen, even if you are constantly in the spotlight. How to stop being a people pleaser. Naturally, you might be wondering right now, what can I do to stop this? If you're a people pleaser and you're listening to my voice right now or reading this message on the blog, I want you to know that stopping this deadly habit of people pleasing is a very hard task, but it is doable. So take these 4 factors I'm going to say now, into deep consideration in trying to break forth out of the cocoon of people pleasing. You need to take responsibility for your own happiness. You need to learn to be assertive. You need to actively feel and accept negative, painful emotions. And you need to find self-worth within you and not without. So the first step to overcoming this self-destructive habit of people-pleasing is to shift your focal point from the outside world to the inside world. Eventually, with time and practice, utilizing these points, you'll be able to sincerely and openly say, I am enough unto myself, as I now can. Let me then sum it up by giving you some strategies to help you stop being a people pleaser and finally be able to say no. 1. Realize you have a choice. People pleasers often feel like they have to say yes whenever someone asks for their help. Remember that you always have a choice to also say no. 2. Set your priorities. Knowing your priorities and values helps you put the brakes on people pleasing. You know when you feel comfortable saying no or saying yes. Ask yourself, what are the most important things to me? 3. Stall. Whenever someone asks you for a favor, it's perfectly okay to say that you need to think about it. This gives you the opportunity to consider if you can commit to helping them. Also important is to ask the person for details about the commitment. Ask yourself, how stressful is this going to be? Do I have the time to do this? What am I going to give up? How pressured am I going to feel? Am I going to be upset with this person who is asking me for help? Asking yourself these questions is key because very often after you've said yes or helped out, you're left wondering, what was I thinking? I neither have the time nor the expertise to help out. If the person needs an answer right away, your automatic answer can be no. That's because once you say yes, you are stuck. By saying no automatically, you leave yourself an option to say yes later. If you've realized that you are available and you've also gotten it off, you must do or don't want to do list. 4. Set a time limit. If you do agree to help out, limit your time frame. Let the person know that I'm available from 10 to 12 or something like that. Don't allow them to utilize all 24 hours of your life, of a day. 5. Consider if you are being manipulated. Sometimes people are clearly taking advantage of you, so it's important to watch out for manipulators and flatterers. How do you spot them? Often, the people who flatter you will say statements like, "Oh, you are so good at baking cakes. Would you make a cake for my child's birthday?" Or, "I don't know how to put this bouquet together, but you're so handy. Can you help me out?" A classic line is, "Nobody does this better than you do." Also, these people will either coax you into doing something or try to tell you what your availability is or what your time frame is. Basically, before you know it, they make the decision for you. 6. Create a mantra. Figure out a mantra you can say to yourself to stop you from people pleasing. If you can it can even be as visual as a big no flashing through your head, through your mind, when a certain friend who can always talk you into something approaches you. 7. Say no with conviction. The first no to anyone is always the hardest. But once you get over the first bump, you'll be well on your way to getting off the yes treadmill. Also, remember that you're saying no for good reasons. You get time for yourself and the people you really want to help. 8. Use an emphatic assertion. Some people initially think that being assertive means stepping all over people. No, it is not. Instead, assertiveness is really about connection. Using an emphatic assertion means that you put yourself in the other person's shoes as you assert yourself. So, you let the person know that you understand where they're coming from, but unfortunately, you can't help. People need to feel heard and understood, and this is a respectful way of asserting yourself and saying no. 9. Consider if it is worth it. When asserting yourself, is it really worth it? It's probably not worth it to tell your boss about his annoying habit, but it is worth it to tell your friend that you can't do lunch because you're super busy. 10. Don't give a litany of excuses. It's tempting to want to defend your decision to say no to someone so they understand your reasoning. But this actually backfires. As soon as you start explaining, you give the other person lots of room to come back and say, "Oh, you can do that later," or "You can adjust your schedule," or "That's not as important as what I'm asking for." 11. Start small. Everything we learn how to do, we learn through a process. So take baby steps. Instead of just barging into your boss's office to ask for a raise, talk with your immediate supervisor first about how to prepare yourself for that talk with your boss. 12. Practice successive approximation. Successive approximation means taking one step in the direction you want to go at a time, rewarding yourself for getting that far. If your neighbor's dog's barking is driving you crazy, make efforts to confront the person by saying "good morning" as you're both leaving the house. Another time, you might mention how noisy the neighborhood has been. If he still doesn't get the hint, you can knock on his door and use an emphatic assertion. It can help to write down how you get from A to Z. This also helps you gain courage to confront the person. 13. Don't apologize if it's not your fault. People pleasers tend to be serial apologists. Pay attention to when you apologize and consider if you are really at fault. Ask yourself if you are responsible for this situation. Usually, the answer is no. 14. Remember that saying no has its own benefits. You as a person are entitled to your own time and you need to rest and rejuvenate to be there for the people you want to help out. Look at saying no as an opportunity to spend your time doing what you value most in your life. 15. Set clear boundaries and follow through. We all have physical or emotional limits, and because of these limits, we have to set boundaries. Ask yourself what you're willing to do, and don't go beyond those limits. Also, be clear in communicating your boundaries. Say what you're thinking and what you want. Letting someone step over your boundaries without voicing your frustrations can lead you to bottle up this negative feeling about the person to the point when you have a blow up and really hurt someone's feelings or end the relationship completely. For instance, you might have a friend who is just so emotionally needy and negative that she calls you all the time with her problems and wants you to listen. But even just listening is also asking a favor. And every time you hang out, you're miserable and she feels better. Respect your boundaries and at some point say to her, I can't help you. There are also a number of subtle ways to respect your boundaries. You might start taking every other call and wean yourself off her. You can do the same thing with a person who calls you at your busiest time of the day. You might say, I can't be available for you at 2:30 because I'm in the office. Let's set up a particular time to talk. When setting up the time, offer the one that works best for you. Setting physical boundaries might mean telling a person that they can't just pop over when they want to or borrow your things without asking. 16. Don't be scared of the fallout. People pleasers often worry that after they say no, the fallout will be catastrophic. But the fallout is never as bad as we think it is. In fact, it is usually very insignificant. Why? Because people are not thinking about you as much as you think. Usually, after you say no, a person is more focused on who they will be asking next to help them than your so-called betrayal. So even a significant request such as being the maid of honor at your friend's wedding isn't disastrous. Being the maid of honor takes a lot of time, energy, and money, which you may not have. You saying that I'm really honored and this means so much to me, but I won't be able to do it, isn't going to ruin the wedding. And if you have a solid relationship with your friend, that isn't going to end that relationship. 17. Consider what you want to have time. Always ask yourself, who do I really want to help? Do you want to be there for your parents or some friend from college who live down the hall, who you parted with a long way back and who is back to your life and really very demanding? 18. Self-soothe. Using positive self-talk is like being a good mother to yourself. You can use this to remind yourself of your priorities and boundaries. For instance, you might say, I can do this. I have the right to park in this parking spot. I make that decision that's right for me, or my values are more important than saying yes in this situation. 19. Recognize when you're being successful. Many people pleasers tend to focus on what went wrong. Counteract this tendency by keeping a journal with the times you handled the situation well, such as when you were assertive or didn't apologize unnecessarily. In fact, you might be surprised at how many times you are responding confidently. 20. Keep a confidence file. Since a lack of confidence can cause you people-pleasing ways, keep a file with positive and praising emails, cards, or anything else. You can also keep a self-esteem file, for example. It can even come in handy when asking for that trace from your boss. So you print out any emails or letters of praise you receive from your co-workers or those who are higher up than you, and then take them to your boss as evidence and another reason why you deserve a raise. 21. Realize that you can't be everything to everyone. Again, people pleasers want to make everyone happy. While you might make someone happy temporarily, it doesn't work long term. And you would even be shocked to find out that those you sweat over for, those you bend over backwards to please, never really get pleased. And you can get hurt in the process. People who preserve their time and energy and don't say yes to everyone also realize that they can't make other people happy. People pleasers must realize that the only thoughts and feelings they can change are their own. So, in this 2018, if you're going to make an impact, if you're going to choose yourself first, and you're a people pleaser, it is high time you dropped this habit because it's not going to take you anywhere. Don't make yourself a doormat for every person to clean their feet on. No, it doesn't suit the person that you want to be in this 2018. Until I come your way again, this is Morning Vibes with Dr. Jerry the First. This program is powered by Top Media and Communication, Nigeria. All rights reserved. Thank you for listening to this broadcast this morning. If it has resonated with you, kindly subscribe to our channel and also give us a thumbs up as a show of liking this broadcast. You can also read the full text on our blog, and you can also like our Facebook page. Please kindly find the links to our blog and our Facebook page right in the description box below. And hey, you can also actually click on that bell beside the subscription button so that you can be notified whenever another broadcast is dropped here. Do have a nice day.